everyone. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Dada Bakudo, and I'm the co-chair of the Global Alliance for Climate Smart Agriculture. GACSA, as it is known, is an inclusive, action-oriented, multi-stakeholder platform for the promotion of climate smart agriculture. And it is my increased honor to be moderating this event, which I just learned is the only women-oriented, women-only event at the WFF, focusing on empowering young women farmers with a look at climate smart agriculture. And I'm here today with three amazing young women farmers who's going to talk more about their work later on. But let me just introduce, I'm going to be with Annika Molesworth, who is a scientist and storyteller. And she's widely recognized for her work in agriculture and food systems and in generating climate change awareness. She's an author of many books. Annika, maybe you could tell me some things on how to write a book as well. I wanted to write a book myself. She's an author of a book called Our Sunburnt Country. Awards include Young Farmer of the Year in 2015, Young Australian of the Year, New South Wales finalist of 2017. Like all of us here in the room, Annika is very passionate about ensuring the best possible future for the planet, people, and the food on our plates. I can't wait to hear what you will say, Annika. We're also joined by Trinidad Subriabre, who is a young Chilean farmer from Hemisferio Sostenable, which is an enterprise of a small young group of farmers. They grow organic vegetables based on methodologies that are friendly with our environment and make use of the synergies of our farm to supply themselves with necessary vegetables throughout the year and also commercialize them with added value. I think I need to learn this from Trinidad. I have a small plot of land with vegetables at the back of my house, and I need added value for that. So she's currently developing and escalating business models thanks to food conservation, accessing new markets, and working in new logistics with other agroecological farms of the region to contribute to local cultural heritage and cooperative development. Thank you, Trinidad, for being with us. And lastly, we have Flora Miriam Quirera, who is a partnership development coordinator at Farm Input Promotions Africa, and herself a smallholder farmer in Kenya, working with hundreds of thousands of smallholder farmers within the continent. I can't wait to hear what Flora will also say. As we all know, rural women face many unique challenges compared with male counterparts. These include social obstacles, including the dominating patriarchal systems, more limited access to health care and education, and other systemic disadvantages. Women also face environmental challenges different from men. There's greater vulnerability to climate change threats. Women are 14 times more likely to die in natural disasters. And also, women face economic barriers such as lower wages and fewer livelihood opportunities. These challenges are more prominent in rural communities and in developing nations. These are concerns for the next generation of female farmers emerging and therefore need to be overcome and solutions need to come out. Having said this, rural women today, nonetheless, have an incredible opportunity to change this narrative. And young female farmers play an important role in doing that. There are bountiful opportunities, research discoveries, innovative technologies, global connectivity, improved health and education services, and of course, the empowerment and respect for rural women. But a lot still needs to be done. And in fact, sitting here, I begin to think that patriarchy is having a comeback in the political stage, on the global stage. So let's start with I can't wait for us to have this discussion, and I really wanted it that it happens as a form of a storytelling. So I would like to ask the first question to Anika. Anika, please tell us your story of how did you get involved with farming, and what are the challenges that you are facing? And perhaps, of course, let's not get stuck with challenges. Let us know some solutions that you are offering. So, Anika, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Dada, for that introduction. And it is a real pleasure to be speaking with everyone today. Thank you for having me along to talk about such an important topic about young rural women, and in the context of the big global challenges we face, like climate change. I have some slides I'm going to share, so bear with me just 1 second as I bring these up. So my name is Anika Molesworth. I am a farmer, a scientist, and a storyteller based in far western New South Wales, a beautiful part of Australia. This is Williakali country, where the traditional owners still have connection to land, water, plants, animals, and to culture. And I grew up here with my brothers, going horse riding and camping. And I learned a lot about respecting the land and having pride in growing food from it. And my life of possibilities seemed as endless as those horizons around me. And whenever someone asked me as a child, what do you want to be when you're older? I was very quick to respond. I want to be a farmer. I want to grow food for people. What a privilege and honor it is to be able to do that. However, shortly after my parents actually bought the farm, we encountered a 10-year-long drought, which became known as the Millennium Drought, and it hit much of Australia. And dust storms or sandstorms like this one that I filmed on my farm became almost a weekly occurrence. And I watched these winds scour the land, stripping it of seed and nutrients and vegetation. I watched my livestock suffer in it. And this dust storm was the result of this 10-year-long drought, which took away our water from the creeks and the dams. It removed the vegetation, which of course is the feed for our livestock. And I also watched the social and economic impacts that had on my community and the people that I really care about, my family. And so this drought really charged my energy to how do we look after the planet? As farmers, we are custodians for the land, for the water, for our animals, and we need to take best care of it. And as I learned more about the drought, and I learned that in the future, as I pursued my career in agriculture, it is likely that droughts like this will become more intense and more frequent. And I learned this term climate change. And that really concerned me. And I ended up have spent my whole career studying about climate change and how it impacts farmers in Australia and around the world. I learned through the drought that humans have such a strong connection to place and a sense of responsibility to look after it. Our land, our water, our livestock, our communities is the foundation to a farming business. And if climate change impacts these things adversely, then that has a real impact on the future of farmers. So our world is changing. All of us on the call tonight know that. We have a hungrier world where population growth is driving food demand. We have a wealthier world where a new middle income class is increasing food and fiber consumption. We have changing customers who are choosier, information empowered, with expectations of health, provenance, and ethics. But there is also a disconnection between urban and rural communities. We do have new technologies which are changing food production, transportation, manufacturing, and consumption, but we are in for a bumpier ride with social, economic, and environmental change reshaping our world and the farming systems. And it is this bumpier ride that I became interested in, because if I'm going to have a future on my farm, then I need to work out how to help solve these problems. The good news is that we actually have so many ways to reduce emissions from farms through technologies and practices. These things are already being rolled out across the country, across the world. We can reduce methane from livestock with feed supplements and forages. We can change land use, reforest marginal lands, use native foods. We can electrify the transport system and our houses and power our rural businesses through solar and wind. And of course, there can be improved land management with carbon sequestration, capturing carbon in plants and soils and improving degraded land. So it's actually really exciting to see what's being rolled out already. These things are already being adopted by farmers. But when we actually look to the future, that's where it becomes really exciting. And I apologize in advance for all these words on the slides, but these are things that are being researched around the world to help make food systems more sustainable and environmentally friendly. And as you can see, there are so many solutions out there. So when people feel overwhelmed with climate change, when they go, oh, we don't know what to do, we don't know where to begin, we can, take pride and excitement from looking at the research that is being conducted and go, wow, there are so many solutions out there which we could adopt. But how do we use our wisdom and skills to change the system? So we're not limited by knowledge of the problem, but by other obstacles, structural, cultural, and political mainly. So how do we change these? So I think there's 3 ways that we can drive this positive change in the agricultural system, and it is to grow the number of people who are educated, engaged, and feel empowered. It is to bring policies in line with the science, and it is to change the way we tell our story in rural communities. So we need people to be educated, engaged, and feel empowered, not daunted and overwhelmed by the science, but actually feel like they can do something with it. And it is really important that we engage with a whole diversity of people from different ages, backgrounds, regions around the world. This is a photo of me zooming into a school to talk with the next generation of food producers and consumers. And these young people, they ask the best questions, they're creative and critical thinkers, and that's what the world needs. I'm also a member of an organization called Farmers for Climate Action, and we have 8,000 farmers here in Australia who are championing climate solutions, who are communicating with our policymakers and making sure that we have the best strategies to reduce greenhouse gases and benefit rural communities. So this is an example of a grassroots community movement. And finally, we need to change the way we tell the story. We need to bring the humanity into the climate conversations and talk about these big topics with all of our fears and concerns, but also our hopes and our vision. And that's where it gets really exciting. So what am I doing on my family farm in Australia? We have conservation reserves to protect rare and threatened species. We remove invasive species. We have a number of university projects. We have solar panels and an electric car. And we are communicating far and wide the importance of overcoming climate change to benefit rural communities around the world. So thank you, Dada. Back over to you.
Wow, Annika. I'm a little bit speechless. I'm normally never not speechless, but that is such a powerful story and one that really connects from your heart to the global issues, right? There's a lot to unpack from what you have said, but it's very, very powerful, and I'm writing down a lot of notes that hopefully I can put together for the closing remarks. But already I'm saying that I'm gonna need you in a lot of my work talking with policymakers, because we need to put the heart and humanity back in our discussions on science and innovation and hard data and figures, because we need powerful stories like this. So this is not going to be the last that we're going to meet. I'd like to hand it over to Trinidad Surribiare. Sorry for murdering. I do speak a little bit of Spanish, but my Filipino-ness is overwhelmed right now. And I know that there's a special question. You should also introduce yourself and talk about the challenges and solutions that you're facing in your region. But please do feel free to also answer the question that's very unique for you on rescuing the cultural heritage in your continent through your, as you try to find climatic and anthropic solutions. Trini, the floor is yours.
Hi, good afternoon. Well, it's early here in Chile. It's 9 in the morning. Thank you so much for that introduction, and Annika as well. Thank you so much for opening up to all the challenges that we're facing globally. I'm gonna just share my screen. So oh, sorry, I'm having some problems with this. So I'm part of Hemisferio Sustentable. We're an enterprise of a young group of farmers. We're located in one of the hills here in the area, in the Araucanía region, south of Chile, in the border of the Villarrica National Park. And we grow vegetables mainly to have obtained food resilience as a family, in a family scale, and as diverse as possible. So between vegetables, fruits, eggs, mushrooms, honey, and all of this, we managed to maintain and retain the harvest from different seasons throughout the whole year by different preservation techniques, such as dehydration, fermentation processes, jams, and well, we also produce this mainly for us, but also commercialize some of our products with added value. So I got to farming not so long ago, but it has been my job, and it has been the lifestyle that I have adopted recently. It's been in my lineage. My grandparents were farmers, their parents were farmers as well. And so growing up, you know, I had that sense, playing around the crops, around the animals, on top of the manure mountain, the tractors and everything. And also, I think what's very important is that I had a lot of cultural sharing. I had very enriching background. I got to live in different places too in my childhood. Very lucky. I lived in Australia and South Africa, different parts of Chile, and all of this has, you know, taught me and have care for nature and passion for cultural heritage as well. And you know, just differentiating the behaviors that we can have towards our environments. And so I think I got to farming just to individually be more resilient as a person, and to improve the quality of family and self-nutrition as well. Also very important, you know, the waste of family households in relation to the food consumption as well. So yeah, that's how I got to farming. And now I think we've been facing lots of challenges, as Annika mentioned, climatic and anthropic challenges, you know, the access to renewable energies, the access to water and water efficiencies, soil erosion, the change in land use here in the area. There's also lots of eutrophication and climate change itself. In our farm this year, this winter was crazy. We had a very, very strong wind. 2 of our greenhouses disappeared with the seedlings and everything. We had snow on top of our crops. Now it's just spring, but we've been experimenting very high temperatures. So we've always have to, you know, observe how nature is behaving through time and take, you know, fast actions, but related from year to year of how behavior is changing as well. So we're also facing lots of social challenges. Especially in the area is the participation of the young people from rural sectors in the developments. Here in Chile and in Latin American and Caribbean, and I guess also in lots of parts of Australia and Kenya as well, there's rural-urban migration conflict, and it's strong because we lack formal and prosperous employments, and also degradation of rural areas due to urbanization. And I think I really believe that we can improve opportunities in rural areas and address the root cause of migration through innovation in agriculture and agriculture models. So here in the territory, we have a lot of cultural heritage and knowledge. The women have always been the ones in charge of the farms at home. If we were to speak in the territory here in Chile about peace and family farming, we're 70% of the time talking about women. And there is a problem where the new generations in these families would rather migrate to urban areas than to work in low productivity or low earning agriculture models. And so the older ones and the older women deal to cope with all the farm, the work, the job that the farmer actually requires, you know, and this heritage is being lost. So I really believe this is an opportunity, not just for women, but for youth in general, to gather this and to inherit this knowledge from their mothers and their grandmothers. Nowadays also we're facing very strong economic challenges, instability of international markets, and their supplies every day put at risk the production of food. And especially if farms and agriculture businesses are not investing in resilience, territorial production alliances are essential, and we've got to seek suppliers within the smallest radius possible, and also marketing under the same principles. So I think we must rethink agriculture models and innovate, get with any innovative attitudes to find, you know, smart solutions. So to tell you a bit of Hemisferio Sustentable, which is where I'm part of, and we've always worked with methodologies that are friendly with our environment. We've recently been certified by CSA environmental standards, but mainly as a commercial strategy, you know, to remain in a competitive market, but also to validate important facts about our products. But always as a business model and as young, passionate people, we seek to include both environmental and social benefits through entrepreneurship. So we know globally around 1/3 of the food production is being lost from production to final consumption. And this is direct greenhouse gases emission, and especially methane, which is, you know, highly corrosive gas. And so within our business model, we managed to find smart solutions within our production, and we aim to build resilience as well and have zero discards on our production. So we have different products. Firstly, we sell a fresh mix of vegetables, leafy vegetables, including kale, chard, lettuce, arugula, and mustard. Which is technically designed also to contribute to health. It's high in calcium, vitamin C, vitamin K. And so we only use the medium-sized leaves and perfect leaves because we commercialize it to hotels, restaurants, and families here in the area, and it's used in high gastronomy. And then all of the leaves that grow bigger or that have, you know, different shapes and everything and are not taking part in this market, we have innovated and we transform this food and have created this line of vegetable pate, which is we extend the life of this food that was before being lost for, you know, one entire year. And I believe it's strong because we cannot, as agriculture, as farmers, we cannot just stay in the first, you know, line of production, but I think it's an opportunity to move forward and start transforming what we're, you know, producing. So we've opened up a food fabric, and we are now working and learning in food transformation. And also what doesn't go into the vegetable pate, we are dehydrating it. For example, the kale, we are now prototyping different like capsules as food supplements. And we're contributing to, you know, reducing the food that's being lost, and also health for the people. So within our production processes, we incorporate the territorial knowledge. We use renewable energies, especially solar, for the food transformation. And we're developing internal supplies such as fertilizers, substrates based on plants and mineral present in our region. We harvest our own seeds. We use basically manual tools. We use biological cords. We also have bees for pollination, and we're constantly analyzing any waste or any energy leaks to improve. So we're always targeting to be resilient and answering the question for, you know, what's important to rescue here in the continent of our cultural heritage. I think it's the heritage of the environment. We're inheriting a healthy environment. So although we've been losing it this time, we have, you know, the largest biological diversity here in the continent, and practices, ancestral practices of indigenous people. And so I think that's something that we've got to rescue, is the natural way, the organic way to do things. So it's like going back to the future.
Thank you. PowerPoint anymore. I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it. I'm sorry I couldn't be able to share my screen, but I hope you enjoyed it.
That's fine. That's very fine, because it's very packed. You know, I mean, before I call on Flora, I was just gonna say that I'm super nicely surprised. This is the most exciting webinar I've been in, and I must tell you that I do this webinars maybe 4 times a week. And I'm really so happy to actually hear not just plans or policies or proposals, but I'm actually hearing actions. What I heard from Annika, what I heard from Trinidad, these are actions on the ground, and not like, oh, let's make a proposal for 10 million grant to access something to save the planet. But also, Trini, what struck me the most about your sharing as well is, I was just reading Stephen Hawking's novel about, are we gonna survive planet Earth? So he went to like this a bit of discussion of how the Earth is actually gonna go bust, and it's time to go to other planets. But your talk reminded us that this Earth, this is our inheritance. This is what we have. This is what we need to protect. I'm getting emotional. So let's move to Flora. Flora, we've traveled from Australia to Chile in Latin America, and let's go to Kenya, where actually I lived next door in Uganda for like 3 years. So please introduce us more about yourself and your project, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be as impressed as with the others. The floor is yours, Flora.
Thank you so much, Dada, and also thank you to GACSA for bringing us together in this forum, which I think is so important. And it is a privilege to be talking in the same forum with my fellow speakers, Anika and Trinidad, and I'm very honored to be here today. I'll just let you know about basically myself and the work that I do. So I work with smallholder farmers in Kenya, and I'm a smallholder farmer myself. I come from the slopes of Mount Kenya, the second largest or tallest mountain in Kenya. And what led me to agriculture or thinking about farming is I came from a smallholder farming background. My parents, my uncles were all farmers, and I would really offer child labor when we close school, picking coffee, picking tea, harvesting maize. And I was really interested by the fact that these products that we are getting from the farm could pay my school fees. As much as our parents were struggling, I was really feeling this is a great opportunity, and I would read in books and school that our coffee is being drunk in, is being used in Europe, in America. And I was really interested in knowing how can we help the farmers, because my parents and my neighbors were really struggling to, they were working so hard, but still could not get enough money to even pay school fees for every other child. So I got passionate about it and said, I'm going to study agriculture because I need to help many farmers. And we would read in books that in our country, 70% of our GDP comes from agriculture. And I remember when I got to the university and agriculture was reserved for those who did not pass well and did not get other courses to take. So when I got my first year and everyone was running away, they wanted to change their courses, I said, oh, this is the right place for myself to be. And I really felt good because I was given a chance, coming from a farming background, a chance to also work with a lot of farmers in the organization that I work with, that is called Farming Food Promotions Africa. We are working with more than 100,000 farmers every other day, helping them and offering extension or the last mile extension. We are the link between the globe and the farmers, really bringing out these technologies that are being developed to these farmers and trying to localize and also advancing the knowledge that they have, because our smallholder farmers have a lot of information or knowledge that we have that is sleeping within our farms, but when shared out with other farmers and when it is adapted to fit our context is really powerful. And what I would say has been exciting or has been challenging for women farmers, and especially myself, is for women in Kenya and in Africa mostly, our culture does not allow us to own land. Land is owned by men, and that becomes a challenge because most of the labor is offered by women, but really they cannot even make a decision on what to plant on their land. Every day they are in the farm, but they cannot say, I'm going to plant a tree here, I'm going to do ABC. So therefore, it is important for us to look at women differently in terms of resources. The other resources that is challenging for women is lack of capital or finances, because the packages that are there in our countries or the financial packages require for us to have an asset to guarantee the loan or the package that you're going to get from the banks. And mostly the guarantee is mostly land, which we already do not have access to. Therefore, it becomes a bit challenging for farmers, for women farmers especially. Another challenge that we are lacking is mentors. Like I said, you look around, no one is succeeding in agriculture, and you feel that you don't want to do agriculture because you are going to fail just as your other neighbors. Really, we have to build a culture of people who are succeeding and being pioneers in agriculture, and especially women farmers, because I say when you help a woman, especially in the rural household, you are helping the whole household. That the money that she gets from the farming will be used within that farm, and it is going to help the children and that whole household. The other challenge that we are having, of course, everywhere, is climate change. It is with us. I can tell you for the last 4 years in Kenya, we've not had normal rains, and it is really challenging, and it's really provoking us to think about what are the solutions to these challenges that we women are facing. And that's why I'm saying it's so important that this forum is here with us today, for us to borrow from other continents and other contexts. And I think some of the solutions that I would say are working for us women farmers, and also for the organization that I work with, is looking at solutions such as having minimum conservation or deep tillage. And this comes for especially parts of eastern parts of Kenya, where we have like a hard pan, where the soil is so compacted that when it rains, the water just goes horizontally instead of going deep into the soil. And we are training farmers on how to just to use a spring, like a small spike, to just plow near where they are going to place their seeds, and the spike goes deep and the water comes in and goes down. Therefore, even with a week of rain and with good early maturing varieties, they are able to capitalize on the small rains that they get. Another option that we are looking at is also helping the financial, the access to finance stakeholders to craft financial packages that are women friendly, that do not require women to put up assets, that do not require women to have guarantors, but really if they come together as a group and form a group that they can go and guarantee themselves. So really it is important for us to also think about financial packages that are inclusive within the farming systems that we are looking at. Another way that we are looking at is the fertilizer costs in the world are so high, and we are telling our farmers, really now we have to look at a farming system, a mixed farming system, where you are farming, you have a cow there that is giving you manure that you can feed into your soil, and stop over relying on these fertilizers. Also using organic products that are healthy to the soil, because our soils are so degraded and we really have to do something about it. And we are looking at products that are organic, products that are improving, just not giving the plant nutrients, but improving the uptake of fertilizer, so that even if they put the fertilizer, they reduce the amount of fertilizers that they are putting into their soils. Something else that we are looking about, how do we adapt to now the climate change? The climate has changed. We are looking at farmers having, like I said, multiple things that they are doing on the farm, especially, for example, having chicken. When you go to Africa, we are having every farming household has a chicken, and it is owned by a woman. So if we help the farmers to be able to have more chicken, they will have some money that they are getting from the chickens, and they do not have to consult their husbands if they need to sell the chicken. The chicken is owned by the woman. So these chickens are helping. If the rains do not come, if you go right now to Kenya, the rains have not been good, and women have really capitalized on selling the chickens to buy food for themselves. Really, and also training women on different nutrition packages. Not rely, I will tell you, in Kenya, every meal comprises of maize, whichever form of maize it is, and we don't have maize. We are importing maize all the way from Brazil and South Africa and other countries. So really diversifying the nutrition, what we are eating in our diets, so that we stop relying on a few things that are not already working in Kenya. Therefore, it is an honor for me to be here to speak about these experiences, and I hope to interact with our participants more. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Flora. And really, for with your sharing, it really highlights the financial issue, which is oftentimes the crux of the challenge facing farming. right? And your example of the chicken, this really also highlights that not all the solutions should be very much highfalutin and very complicated. Some of the solutions are very much practical. Chickens remove the power of men over this property for women. So that's very, very practical. And the issue of finance, including credits, inputs, mixed farming systems, this is really very, very crucial in the issue of farming. So thank you, Flora, for that sharing. And there are comments on the chat box. Let me take one because I wanted to actually, if Anika, Flora, and Trinidad will allow me, I want a quick fire question to one burning question that I had in my mind. But let's first entertain the question of Lydia. What are the solutions that can be offered to women farmers to access affordable finance? I think that Flora has offered certain examples on that, right? Flora, would you please kindly just answer rather quickly in 1 minute? And then I'm going to go to a quick fire question for all three of you again. The floor is yours, Flora.
Thank you so much, and thank you to Lydia for asking this question. I would give an example of what we are doing with some women in the western parts of Kenya. We are helping women start what we call like table banking, where they come together and they have some money that they contribute, small monies, let's say $1 every other week or every other 2 weeks. And this money is put together in a package where they can borrow from each other because they know each other, they have trusted each other within the community. And that is helping people. For example, if I need $20 and the table banking or my group has that amount of money, I'll go get the money, but with a small interest so that our basket still keeps filling itself. So really, and also we are also targeting financial stakeholders such as the banks, the microfinance, so that they have packages that are women friendly, packages that look at small, because mostly you don't get banks giving very small loans. So we are talking with them to tailor them to smaller packages that women can easily get $50 and they can go and get 100 chicks to rear and return the money within the 3 or 4 months when the chicks are grown.
Thank you, Flora, for the answer, and I hope our questioner is satisfied with your answer. There's also a comment on the chat box that says these are very good insights from the presenters, and it's really very clear that we need to empower women in terms of knowledge and skills, financial empowerment, and linking them up with affordable credit, involving men in food security discussions, change of policies, and mindset. All right, I have an impromptu question that I hope all three of you wouldn't mind if I send this. We have a few minutes, and I think that we are all aware that COP27 is upcoming, right? And I've been to many COP, and we can imagine in the negotiation for agriculture policies where I have been as well, it would be 90% men with wearing their suits and sitting down there to determine policies that will have impact on our agri-food system. And hearing your stories, I must say that this is the first time I'm hearing young farmers' stories. And this is for me, more efficient than listening to a lot of the policy discussions that I've been witness to. And so I wonder, why is this powerful stories not being heard enough? Why is your story not getting? Your story might be at COP27, but it will be at the green zone outside of the negotiations that actually shape the policies. Can you give us some ideas on why it is and what can be done? Because I really love the stories that you have all shared. What can we do in order to magnify your voices? Let's start again with Anika, Trinidad, and Flora.
Thank you so much, Dada, for that question. And it's been so inspiring listening to Flora and Trinidad this evening. So why have women farmer voices not been heard? I think, socially, culturally, female voices and rural voices, and so the combination of rural farmer female voices has often been dismissed or downplayed. It has not been invited to the decision-making table or into these rooms. But as you say, suits and solutions are not synonymous. We actually need people from the land who are actually involved in conversations about the future of agriculture. I have only been to one COP, but I went to all these discussions about agriculture and the challenges and the solutions, and I looked around and I could barely find a farmer, let alone a female farmer. Exactly. And so we've got all these people talking about farming, what farmers are going to do, what we have to do with farmers, but then the farmers are actually not present in the room, part of these conversations. And I think that's really alarming. We live in a day and age now, though, where it is much easier to connect with friends and colleagues around the world and in real time. And so I think it's really important that we do that we actually harness the technologies of social media, of Zoom meetings, of things like this, and make sure that farmers who are often geographically remote are brought into these global conversations. And of course, farmers, they know their land, they love it. They can tell you to, such detail, the soil, the birds, the biology, the culture and social structure that they're working in. And that's incredibly important information if we're talking about how to improve, amplify, expand solutions to help tackle the climate crisis. Thanks, Dada.
Thanks, Anika. Those are very, very practical solutions. Flora, would you like to be next?
Thank you, Dada and Anika. I wouldn't agree more. I think I also have been to forums where people are talking about youth, and you find out of 100 people, 90 of them are old women and men, and really I don't even understand why it's talking about youth when youth are not there. But luckily this week, at the World Food Forum, I've really seen quite a number of youth. It was actually the opposite, like having 90 youths and 10 old men and women, which is they're important because it is important to have that intergenerational learnings. But I would say there's some changes into how people are looking at things. I don't have yet a definite answer, but what I would say is for us also young women and yes, young women, it is important also to get out of the comfort zone and be heard or be deliberate to be heard. And it's amazing that most of the leaders I have met at FAO, those or the UN leaders, they are women, and it is important that we push ourselves to be heard other than just waiting to be invited, really get our stories out there. So I think it is two-way. The leaders are being deliberate at inviting young women to be heard, but also as young women being deliberate to be heard.
Thank you, Flora. Very, very practical solutions too, and also not waiting to be invited. Go ahead and speak immediately. So Trinidad, may we hear from you?
Yes, this is, I think the models are changing, the markets are changing, and well, we know just anthropologically everything is changing, and this, now that we're here today speaking, it's a voice that it's starting, and I think more importantly, when we talk about the COP, I think international climate negotiations they have to take also positive examples of peace and family farming and give it a more prominent role, because I think it's they are lots of efficient models in relation to the emissions of greenhouse gases. Here in Pugon, we are part of a group of peace and family farming. Mainly it's, I don't know, they were 24 women and 3 men. And these women, they work the land with, you know, agroecological principles, and it's examples for solutions that we are facing. And although it has been, and things like this, important things like this are not incorporating, I think this that we're here now, it's a movement, and hopefully we grow and we can learn, you know, from simple and from the rural areas, from how women here are working the land just naturally.
Thank you, Trinidad. It's really like a representation, right? Voices from the rural areas really need to be magnified. Yeah. So we have, I think 1 hour flew by quite quickly, almost an hour flew by quite quickly. And I could imagine actually sitting with all the ladies, sharing information and stories with all of you for far longer time. Hopefully GACSA can help facilitate more of these type of exchanges, and not just on, let's say, policy planning and scientific exchanges, but really more on storytelling. So I've been assigned to also give the closing remarks apart from moderating you. But I'm very happy that Simon forced me to do it. No, Simon and Yana forced me to do it. No, I'm very happy because what I could see where you guys brought out the disconnect that we often do not hear about in farming. And it's the disconnect between, examples include, based on your sharing, urban and rural communities, the science and the understanding disconnect, the gender disconnect, the urban and rural migration, modernity or commercial approaches versus heritage or traditional approaches, right? Yana, you can put your hand down. I'm definitely gonna call you. And so we've seen all these disconnect based on your sharing, including financial land ownership disconnect, right? But I also hear hopes. There's the role that I see, role of storytelling, changing the narrative and how we communicate. And most definitely the use of your own energy, which is women and youthful energies. And Annika even gave like the use of social media. Flora mentioned get out of the comfort zones, and Trinidad emphasize the kind of voices that we wanted to hear, which would be should be from farmers themselves, from the rural areas. And what I saw from the whole sharing is also women power, because there's one slide that Annika showed, which is all the solutions in one slide, and trust women to do this. There are a lot of challenges, a lot of problems, but here's a buffet of solutions, and it's been offered already. So I have 3 key takeaways. We really need to magnify the voices of young women, because, as I said, I've been in so many high-level policy discussions, and this is a breath of fresh air, and this is exactly what we needed, because it came from our humanity. It came directly from direct experiences. So number 2, we really need to bring these narratives and stories into boring policy processes and touch their humanity. Guys, we need to break down these doors. I'm gonna help you guys break down with an axe the doors, the closed door meetings of all these high-level policy processes. And then note to myself, what we have heard here are not plans, policies, and proposals, but are actual actions. And these actions are the ones that need further support for scaling up, for accessing climate finance, for bringing the stories all over. So I think that with that, I think these are my key takeaways, and I would like to thank all of you for this. And I would like to let Yana say this thanks on all our behalf. Yana, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Dada. I would like to say one thing. This webinar has been honestly the best that I've seen during the World Food Forum Week. It's been more than inspirational. I'm not a technical person myself, and I would like to thank from the bottom of my heart to all the ladies, because I've learned so many things, and it's amazing to actually hear, as Dada said, I fully agree with her, not only talking about policies, not talking only about making new guidelines and, doing the networking, but, it's so inspirational to actually hear and see the real stories, the real solutions. And I think this is actually what we're trying to achieve here, like really enhance the knowledge sharing amongst the farmers. And honestly, it's a privilege for me to be here with all of you, and being here with such amazing women, proving that it's actually capable of doing the work on the ground. That it's very difficult. I cannot imagine myself how difficult some of the situations must be for all of you. And I would like to say that I'm more than happy on behalf of the Facilitation Unit of the Global Alliance for Climate Smart Agriculture to support these initiatives. And I would like to inform everyone that the call to action and the follow-up action would be that we will be giving a document sharing all of the stories and the solutions from all of these three wonderful young ladies, and we'll be sharing it with the GACSA community, and really empower more young female farmers, women farmers, to get involved with this, because it's truly inspiring. And really, thank you very much, Dada. Thank you as always for an amazing moderation. I would like to thank Simon to making this happen, actually, because without him it would not be possible. And thank you everyone for joining. The recording will be available on GACSA YouTube channel, and we hope that we will reach many more young women farmers. And it's really amazing. Like I'm a little bit overwhelmed. So sorry, I don't have words, but really thank you very much, and looking forward to more of these virtual events. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone.
I almost cried.
Thanks for everyone.
Bye. Bye.
Bye everyone. Bye.